How stressed are you feeling right now? In my ophthalmology practice, I'm dealing with stressed out people all day long. People come to me because of twitching in their eyelids, because of bumps in their eyelid, itching, rashes around the eye, and very often these issues are actually related to overall life stress. This week's Parsha, Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz Migurei Aviv be'eretz Canaan. Vayeshev Yaakov, a very famous Rashi, where Yaakov wanted to dwell in peace. Yaakov wanted to have a life free of stress. Hashem looks at that and says, these tzaddikim, they want to have it all. They want to have a peaceful olam haba and a peaceful olam hazeh. Not going to happen. Olam hazeh is meant to have stress involved. And sure enough, what happens? The whole episode of the stress related to Yosef. So this implication is that all people need to have stress, even tzaddikim. But is that really true? We look around and we see some tzaddikim leading peaceful, serene lives, at peace with themselves, with their families, with their Torah. Does every tzaddik really need to have a certain amount of stress? So Rabbi Akiva Eger explains that actually it is true. All tzaddikim have a certain level of stress. Yes, they've worked on themselves, they've built themselves up to a certain level of tzidkus, but what happens is they're afraid for their olam haba. A true tzaddik knows that the Yetzer Hara is just around the next corner, and the Yetzer Hara could threaten the olam haba that he's built up. So every single true tzaddik has a certain level of stress over making sure that he needs to protect his future olam haba. Not so Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu had a spiritual promise that was made to him that as long as all of his children would remain alive throughout his own entire life, he would have a guaranteed olam haba. That's an amazing promise. Every time Yaakov would look around and see all of his 12 sons looking up at him, smiling back at him, he knew that he had a guaranteed olam haba, and therefore he was totally at peace. But what happens when Yosef disappears? That's a lot of stress. Not only is there the stress of Yosef being out of the picture, terribly stressful for a father to endure, but there was the additional stress that then Yaakov knew that with a son missing, that his future olam haba was in jeopardy. Now that's the true explanation for the stress that Yaakov had to deal with in this parsha. But now, why is it? Why does life have to be so stressful? Why do we all have to go through this kind of stress throughout life? Rav Yerucham Levovitz explains that life is meant to be a series of tests. We all know this, but it makes sense to spell it out. Every single episode in life is meant to be a test in its own way. Life is not meant to be easy. Every one of us has to go through a stressful experience because we need to find a proper way to respond to that experience. How do we respond? How do we talk? How do we behave? That's what life is. That's the way we grow. Life is not meant to be easy. We're supposed to grow through a series of challenges. And there is no option of failing. Of course, we're all human. We end up failing some of these tests. But any test that we fail or any test that we just simply try to avoid, Hashem actually finds a way to bring it upon us in a different form a short time later. So there's no option of failure, no option of avoidance. Inevitably, Hashem makes us go through this series of tests just purely for our own growth. It's purely for our own benefits. So this is something we should all keep in mind. Next time we're dealing with a stressful situation, whether it's next week, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 30 seconds from now, we should stop for a moment, think to ourselves, thank Hashem for giving ourselves the opportunity for growth, and contemplate the right way to respond to that test, whether through speech and action. Good luck to all of us.